comic books flying off the shelf, and Jason Momoa is screaming in excitement for some reason.
And we have a hot book high up on the list that you may want to hold off on.
The hottest comic books in the world. Consider subscribing and liking the video. We're here every